and welcome back to my channel, The Future Empress. My name is Anna and today we're gonna do a giant
2021
book haul. So there is, let me count the books.
1 hour later.
Are there over 60 books on this book haul? Wait, I thought there were like 50 something. Are they 60? Wait, hold on. Okay, there's 51 books on this book haul that I'm gonna show you. And yeah, let's just get into it. It's probably gonna be a long one. I think I'm gonna organize them by how I got them / genre. So the first category is books that were gifted to me. However, I only have one book that was gifted to me, and that is The Shadow of Kyoshi by F.C Yee. This is the second installment in Kyoshi series, or like I think it's only gonna be a duology, so this is like the last book, the second and the last book to the series. We're following Kyoshi, who is a former avatar. It's in the universe of the Avatar The Last Airbender, and like following a former avatar before Aang's time, and I really loved the first book, which was The Rise of Kyoshi, and it was probably one of my favorites from last year. So I'm very excited to read this. My friend gifted this to me for Christmas. The next category is for the Goodreads Choice Awards, so I decided to read the young adult fiction category and all the nominees that are in there. After reading them, I decided to pick some of them up. So I have here 4 of the books that I read during the Goodreads Choice Awards, which I have a vlog-ish kind of video up. If you want to check that out, I will have it down in the description. The first book I bought for that video was Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender. I really love this book. This book is probably on the same category as The Rise of Kyoshi from last year, so if you haven't picked up Felix Ever After yet, I highly recommend doing so. And the next book was The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. I love this book as well. It's just a very cute space, not space romance, but like space themed contemporary. I really adored the romance in this one. The next book was Punching the Air by Zoboi and Yusef Salaam. This is a book following a teenage boy who is wrongfully prosecuted, and it's just about him trying not to lose himself while in prison and expressing himself through art, and it's written in verse, and there's also just images throughout the book just to visualize this art that he is making, and the poetry aspect of it just makes it so much more impactful in my opinion. And the last book that I bought for the Goodreads Choice Award was Grown by Tiffany T. Jackson. So I listened to this on audiobook and I really loved it, and I knew that I wanted to get myself a physical copy so I can have it displayed on my shelves, because this is one of the best books of 2020 as well. So then we have the category of books that I've read and loved but I didn't own yet, so I decided to buy myself a copy of the books, much like the Goodreads Choice Awards category. So the first book on here is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is a beautiful coming of age kind of story about a teenage boy finding his place in the world and figuring his identity out and what his interests are and everything like that. And it's also written in verse, and there's also just illustrations and different kind of formats to envision this lovely story about this teenage boy just trying to figure his own life out and where he fits into it. And I just knew that when I finished the audiobook of this that I wanted to get my own physical copy, because this is honestly such a heartwarming and beautiful story that I highly recommend. The next 2 books are in the series of Truly Devious. So we have here The Vanishing Stair and The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. This is the second and the third and final installment in the Truly Devious series. I believe that there's gonna come another installment in the series, but it's not gonna follow the same mystery, so I'm technically just categorizing it as a new series within like the same world or just following the same character, trying to solve a different kind of mystery. I finally got around to buy my own physical copies of these two books. I read the Vanishing Stair in 2019 and The Hand on the Wall in 2020, and I have a physical copy of Truly Devious, but I wanted to get the paperbacks to match the Truly Devious one that I have, so finally got around to buy those. My favorite biography ever, because it's the only biography that I've ever read, is Me by Elton John. It's following Elton John's life and how he got into the music industry and how he got addicted to drugs and how that evolved and changed his life and just everything in between. And I really loved the audiobook of this, and I knew of course I'm gonna buy a physical copy of this book because it is just so fascinating following Elton John's life and all that he's gone through. The next one is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is one of my favorite books of last year as well, and therefore I decided when the paperback came out that I wanted to buy myself a physical copy of it. And then we have a book that I've actually read this year, but I knew instantly I want a copy of it, and that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. I really love this book and what it tried to say, and I think everyone on BookTube know what Sadie is about by now, but it's a very loved audiobook, and I 100% agree with that, but I also wanted my own physical copy to display on my shelves. The next category is Christmas books. So I have 4 Christmas books here that I'm gonna haul. The first one is 2020 release, and it is In a Holidaze by Christina Lauren. So this is an adult romance, I believe, that is set during Christmas time. My usual book hauls is basically me just saying I don't know anything about this book because I don't like to go into books knowing what they're about. So this is not an exception from that. And yeah, I only know that it's set during Christmas time, and that's why I picked it up. The next book I actually know a bit about, so that is Mind the Gap, Dash and Lilly by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. Levithan? So this is the 3rd book in a Christmas book series. The first one is called Dash and Lily's Book of Stairs, I believe. And then we have The 12 Days of Dash and Lilly. And then we have the 3rd one, Mind the Gap, Dash and Lilly. Mind the Gap makes me believe that it's set in England. It's my suspicions. Dash and Lily's Book of Stairs is surrounding these 2 teenagers where they leave clues to each other back and forth via a notebook, and it's very cute. The book was adapted to a Netflix series last year, so I haven't checked that out. I highly recommend it. The series was so good as well as the book, and I dare say that the Netflix series was actually better than the book. Anyways, so when I saw that the series would get a new installment, of course I ordered it. The next book is Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. So this is, I believe, Christmas letters that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote to his daughter growing up, and then it's published with like drawings and the actual photos of the actual letters. And yeah, I thought this would be a very cute Christmas read. And the last Christmas book on here is This Winter by Alice Oseman. The only Alice Oseman book that I've read that is written in normal prose and is not actually a graphic novel is Solitaire. And that is when Nick and Charlie was first introduced to me. So of course I was gonna buy the novella that follows Nick and Charlie before like the graphic novels were made, and I believe it's gonna be as cute as the graphic novels. I wanted to get this edition so it will match all the other Alice Oseman books that I have. So the next category is a big one because it's series that I want to start. I have a tendency to buy the first 2 or 3 books in the series or the complete series before I have even read the first one, because I don't wanna be in the situation where I finish the first book and I want to immediately continue with the series. So in my mind, I just buy the whole series at the same time. I have a tendency to do that, and you will see in a bit what I mean by that. So the first series I have on here is the Bone Witch series by Rin Chupeco. I have already read the Bone Witch. I read this for the Magical Society and I really loved it. However, I rented it from the library. I loved this so much that I knew I wanted to get my own physical copy of it. So I ended up buying the Bone Witch along with the complete series. So we have here the Heart Forger and the Shadow Glass, which is the second and third installment in the series, and yeah, I can't wait to continue with the series. And then I have the Puppy War series by R.F. Kuang. This is a highly hyped and well-known adult fantasy series following, I believe, a moral gray character that does not end happily. Yeah, I read Tiffany's post where she explains like how these books were inspired by Chinese history, and it really intrigued me into buying the series. This is the first and the second installment. The last installment was published last year. However, I'm waiting for the small paperback to come out so it can match my complete set. I have not read this yet, hence why it's in the category of books I want to start. The next series or book, since I couldn't buy any more books in this series, is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So this is a very highly talked about YA fantasy, urban fantasy, I believe. I don't know much about it other than I heard Peru's Project compare it to City of Bones, like the Mortal Instrument series, and that just had me hooked. And then we have the first box set in this haul, and yes, I have multiple box sets. The first box set is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. This is the new paperback covers and I love these. So we have the first one here, which is Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and it looks like this. Then we have the second book, which is Days of Blood and Starlight. Like, the colors are so stunning. And then the last book, which is Dreams of Gods and Monsters. These are such stunning covers, and that's why I just decided to buy them all and have the complete set of these stunningly beautiful books. And I just love like the black with the neon colors. It's really my taste. The next box set that I have here is the Witchland series by Susan Dennard. This is not the complete books of the series. This is just the first 3 installments. There's a novella, I believe, and there's also a new book coming out. Or is the 4th book out and the 5th book is coming out later this year? I don't remember. But in this box set we have Truth Witch, which is the first book, and then we have Wind Witch, which is the second book, and the third book is Blood Witch. So in this box set there's a poster included where you can see the full covers here, and then there's also a map on the other side. I've heard that at least Truth Witch, the first book, I've heard was compared to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think we have established before in this video that I love. And then I have a book that I bought used, which is the only book on this book haul that I've bought secondhand. I found myself rewatching The Vampire Diaries and I just got this strong urge to read something with vampires. However, I don't want to read the Vampire Diaries series because I know it's trash. So I just got this strong urge to read Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. So I've never read the Twilight before. So this is gonna be my first time reading it. And I didn't particularly enjoy the movie, so I don't know why I have this strong urge to read the actual book. I don't have high expectations. I just want that trashy YA vampire story, and I'm hoping that this will give it to me, but we will see, we will see. But I did not want to pay full price for this book since I'm not anticipating actually enjoying it that much. I just want the trashiness of it. And then the rest of the books in this category is gonna be middle grade. The first series we have is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So this is a very, very hyped middle grade and very highly praised on BookTube. And I've just heard all good things about this. Even if you didn't love it, you did enjoy it. So I'm very excited to get into this series and find a new middle grade that can maybe replace what Harry Potter was in our heart. Very, very hopeful for this, and there's a lot of expectations on this book, so I'm sorry if you can't live up to those. The next book is totally random because it's Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. I know this is a German author and this is originally translated from German. I just love the Inkheart movie, so when I saw that the Inkheart book series got a new cover remake and it looks like this, I knew instantly that I wanted to buy the book. However, this is a trilogy, I believe, and this is just the first book in the series. There are the second and the third out, of course, but I tried to control myself a bit, as I did with Nevermore. I can't explain my reasons for doing something. I don't even know them myself. And then the last box set on here is the first 3 books in Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer. So this particular box set has the first 3 books in the series, which is just Artemis Fowl, and then we have Artemis Fowl, the Arctic Incident, and the third book is The Eternity Code. And along with these 3 books we have a sample of the graphic novel of Artemis Fowl, and I don't know, I thought this was like a nice touch to it. But these covers are also remakes and they are stunning. Again, I love the colors. The reason I bought this is because I watched the movie with my parents, and when they started talking about like folklore and spirits and trolls and all those kind of magical animals and creatures, I just knew that I wanted to get into this series. I unfortunately fell asleep during the movie, but that is also good because then I don't know what this is technically about. I only watched the intro. The next category is book series that I'm currently in the middle of. So this is gonna be like a sequel installments in the series that I am currently reading, and therefore it's separate from the previous category. The first 2 books is gonna be graphic novels, and I've already read both of them. The first one is Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. This is just such a cute contemporary YA gay graphic novel that I believe everyone needs to read if they want something cute and fluffy in their life and just want something heartwarming. This is definitely it. This is the 3rd installment and I loved it. Maybe not as much as the first and the second one, however it's still 5 stars. This series can't disappoint, and that's the reason that I bought like This Winter by Alice Oseman earlier. And the second book that I have already read is Check Please, Book 2, Sticks and Scones. This is the second book to Check Please, Book 1, which is #hockey. This just follows a gay boy who plays hockey in college and loves to bake. And yeah, there's not much more to it because it's literally just that. It's more like a slice of life kind of story. There's not much plot to it other than him evolving as a person and growing, and yeah, it's beautiful to see. The next book is actually a 2021 release, which is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. So this is technically, I don't know if we can consider this going to be a series, since this is the prequel to The Hate You Give, but we're following completely different people, or we're following the father to the main character in The Hate You Give, but it just fit onto this category. I don't know more about it other than we're following like the father, and I'm don't want to know or try to find out what it's gonna be about, since I wanted to surprise me as much as The Hate You Give did. So then we have a little novella called Love Creekwood by Becky Albertalli. Creekwood, the Creekwood series, which includes Simon vs the Homo sapiens agenda, The Upside of Unrequited, and Leah on the Offbeat. So this is just a little novella, I believe, including the whole friend group and things coming together. I have no idea. Becky Albertalli is also one of my favorite contemporary authors, and so her books is auto buy in my heart. Then there's a very anticipated release for many on BookTube, and for me as well. However, I haven't read the first book in the series. I'm still gonna include it here though, since I have the first book and I've read all the other books in the universe, and that is Chain of Iron by Kacen. So this is the second installment in the Last Hours series, and it's following the children of the Infernal Devices series, which is my favorite series of Kacen. So of course this is also one of the only books that I pre-ordered on this list. I usually don't pre-order books, but I wanted to be sure that I got the collector's first edition of this book, because these books are just... they are what got me into reading, so of course I'm gonna be a loyal fan to the end. And then the next category is books that have multiple genres. Like, there's not a book that has like a particular genre. However, they are all gay in some way, or they represent the LGBTQIA+ community. The first one is King and the Dragonflies by Kacen Callender. I loved Felix Ever After, so of course I'm gonna go back and buy some of their backlist, and this is the first one that I am as intrigued in as I was with Felix Ever After, and I know this is also middle grade, so I'm expecting to be heartbroken but also comforted, hopefully. The next is The Sound of Stars by Alexia Dow. This is a space opera, I believe. I have no idea what this is more about. I just know it's gay and it's sci-fi, and that's enough for me to buy a book, apparently. The next book is also sci-fi, and that is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. And this is one of my highly anticipated releases of 2021, so of course I bought this one. So this is an adult male and male romance between a prince and a widower. It's like a forced marriage. What is it called? Arranged marriage. It's spacey, it's gay, and there's an arranged marriage, which does not happen often between males or females for that matter. Always like male and female arranged marriage. The cover itself is stunning. It's so beautiful. The next book is actually a novella, which is Fireheart Tiger by Elette de Boudoir. I don't like to know a lot about my novellas, but I know this is queer, and I believe it's sapphic and fantasy. All I know, all I need to know. Following a 2020 release is also As Far As You Will Take Me by Phil Stamper. So this is the author of Gravity Us that I mentioned earlier, and because I love that book, of course I'm gonna pick up his new release of 2020 up, and hopefully I'm gonna love this as much as the other one, possibly more. Who knows? Then we have a couple of books by Alice Oseman. Loveless by Alice Oseman and Nick and Charlie. So this cover also was a remake to match the whole covers of the rest of her books, and this is also like a solitaire novella following Nick and Charlie. So, and then Loveless, it's a contemporary young adult story following a girl who's trying to figure out, like, she's trying to find love, but she's also figuring herself out and who she is and what she identifies with. And I believe it's an ace story, so I'm excited to read this. And the final book in this category is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is a 2021 release. It's a sapphic adult romance following this girl who has just finished college, I believe, and has to enter adulthood, I guess. She ends up like trying to escape that and go to Vegas and ends up marrying a girl, eloping with a girl she doesn't know, and I think it just follows those events afterwards. I'm so excited to read this one. This is one of my highly anticipated releases of 2021, so of course I bought it. For my last category is historical fiction / classics. So if we start out with the classics, I bought The Lost World and Other Stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I believe The Lost World is what Jurassic Park was inspired by. In the same classic editions, I have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I believe this is also gay, but I'm not sure. I've heard rumors, but I don't trust. I believe most people know what The Picture of Dorian Gray are about, but I'm not one of them, and I'm not trying to find out before I read the book, so. And then we have the historical fictions part of this book haul. Let's start with Bridgerton, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. So I believe everyone has seen the Netflix series about Bridgerton, which I loved apart from one particular scene that I did not enjoy. However, and the ending maybe, I don't know. I enjoyed the show, like the overall aesthetic. It was just so fun to watch, even though there were some scenes that I didn't particularly enjoy. And because I want more of it, I decided to pick up the book. This is the Netflix series tie-in edition. Honestly, I prefer this one towards the others, because historical fiction romance books just are not my aesthetic. However, this reminds me of the Netflix show, and which makes my heart more inclined towards it. I don't have much hopes for this, to be honest, because I think the Netflix show actually made the books better, but we will see. I will have to judge for myself when I read them. And then we have The Black Kids by Christina Hammond Reed. This is set in Los Angeles in 1992. It's following the Rodney King's riots, and it's young adult, hard-hitting contemporary, I believe, which I'm very interested in reading more of. And the last book, the final book in this book haul, the 51 book in this book haul, is Rewrite Upon Sticks by Juan Barry. This is an adult speculative fiction. It's just fantasy because it's following witches. I know the writing style is bizarre because I watched Books on Lala vlog where she read it and she loved it, but she also likes weird books. I don't know yet if I'm like 100% on the weird books train, but I want to find out. The writing style is apparently in plural we, which sounds intriguing. Not read a book like that before, and therefore I bought it. But yeah, those are all the books that I've bought and accumulated. If there's any of these books that you also bought or like excited about, or if some of these you have read, please let me know down below and let's talk about them. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye! This is what 51 books looks like.